public transport regulation. So all of these three units are under our traffic management center. The second division of the office is that on ordinance enforcement. The ordinance enforcement works closely with the Naga City Police Office in ensuring that the major ordinances in the city are actually enforced. So aside from the national agencies that are doing enforcement work in our locality, the Public Safety Office has its own enforcement unit. And we collaborate not only with the PNP, but with other national agencies as well. We are deputized by the Land Transportation Office so that we can issue TOPs and other citations. We work with the National Meat Inspection Service so that in terms of consumer goods, we can look into that as well, including also the DTI for consumer protection. So that's the second major division of the Public Safety Office, Ordinance Enforcement. The third one, which is really, again, closer to your sector, is that on communication and emergency services. For this, we receive all of your distress calls. We receive all of your emergency calls. So that's one number, and whenever we receive that, we farm it out to whoever agency is supposed to respond. So that could be a request for a fire truck whenever there is fire incident. That would be a request for a police assistance whenever you have commotions or rumbles. And that would even include the request for ambulances or medical assistance. So it's a one-stop shop that we operate. And we also have the rescue personnel that are ready to respond on a 24-hour basis. So this is a unit of the Public Safety Office that never sleeps. It works continuously on a 24-hour basis. The fourth division that we have is on administrative services. That would of course be the unit that process all fines and penalties, order of payments for transgressions and violations. And also, they provide logistical support and administrative support to all our personnel, including the processing of salaries and other compensations. And the last one, the fifth division, is that on public facilities and civil security. These are our personnel that secure the public properties in our city, from the City Hall building concern. Our second major topic for this webinar, which is on the common concerns and threats that are encountered by your sector, the student and the academic, the students and the academic. One of these, let me just enumerate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least seven concerns. One of these is on theft and robbery. Many of you would have encountered losing some properties knowingly or unknowingly. Maybe when you woke up, it's gone already, your cell phone is gone, or while you are distracted, you lost a cell phone or your bag or your wallet. In any urban context, this would have been ordinary. But at the same time, most vulnerable are the students. When you have your allowances, you have your cell phones, and your other properties. It's also vulnerable in the dormitories where you stay. We have been receiving reports about stolen properties, particularly when nobody is in the room that is being occupied. Or there are also other dormitories wherein the windows are vulnerable, and this theft can simply pick up your things from the window. So that's the first, theft and robbery. In fact, we have an alarming number of cases that are reported in our city on this matter. But
Hello everyone, apologies for the second wave of technical concerns. We currently have intermittent internet. That's why we are having issues right now. we are having issues right now. But before we proceed with the video, I would like to ask our audience, how are you feeling after watching the video? I would like to consult as well. Were you able to understand, or were there connectivity issues on your side? We would like to confirm so that we could properly assess the solutions. So could you please state in the comments if you understood the video, or were there also connectivity issues on your end? The video is quite choppy. Okay, so all right, thank you so much for the comments. This is very helpful to us so that we will know the proper remedy to this problem. So would it be okay for everyone if we will restart the video of Mr. Rene Gumba? Okay, sure. Okay, thank you so much to our audience for actively responding to our questions. So we're still currently fixing our internet connection. So please stand by. For the meantime, buhay pa ba kayo dyan? We're so sorry for the connectivity issues. Nasa Pilipinas tayo, so may problema talaga sa internet. Heart reacts naman kayo if nandyan pa kayo. Heart reacts tayo. Sama-sama tayo dito. Ayan, so it's nice to see na may heart reacts pa rin tayo. Buhay na buhay pa rin tayo. So I would like to share as well na we are very, very thankful to everyone na pumunta kayo dito, nag-attend kayo itong webinar na to because we have a lot in store for you. Very exciting din yung ating open forum, so please watch out for that. Ayun, napakaraming hard, so thank you so much. According sa ating audience, it would be better po daw if we will start from the top. So our technical team is now working on it. We will start from the top dun sa video ni Sir Rene Gumba. Thank you so much everyone for your patience. Inaayos na po ng ating technical team. Okay. Okay na daw, so let us enjoy the video.
Something about student safety. I would like to go through that discussion in a major parts given this presentation. I'll begin with a brief contextualization wherein we try to level up on the understanding of public safety. With a brief contextualization or introduction wherein we try to level up on the understanding of public safety, and if I will be indulged, I would like to share a little bit about the office that I represent, the Public Safety Office. So as an introduction. Then after that, I will proceed to the second part, which will dwell on the common threats and concerns encountered specifically by your sector, the academe and the students in particular, particularly in terms of safety concerns. Then on the third part, I will be giving the enumeration of some tips and measures for your sector. That would include some personal safety tips and the hotlines in our city and the agencies that you can get in touch with whenever you are confronted by these difficulties and emergencies. And I will wrap up the presentation, the fourth part, by just summarizing and highlighting the recommendations which we would like to forward to your group, to your sector, so that we can work together as a community for better public safety in our areas. So let me begin then with the introduction. There has been many understanding or definitions of public safety, but I would like to focus on this more from the perspective of a practitioner in community development. Take note that public safety is one dominant concern in many communities, and at times it's misinterpreted as being a concern of peace and order only. But at this point, we are evolving the understanding of public safety, and we are now talking about the freedom of the people, of the communities, of the individuals from any harm, possible harm, or imminent harm that is affecting them. So we would like to look at public safety as the responsibility not only of the government or the public sector, but of the individuals and the private institutions as well. With that, I'll be flashing several definitions of public safety on your screen, but I would like to focus on the understanding that it's also a public policy that is concerned about law and order, the protection of civil rights, and the safety of individuals, their properties, and communities from all kinds of crimes, violence, threats, disasters, and emergencies. So, for this discussion, let's all be guided by that understanding of public safety. Now, which brings me to the second point. The Naga City government has established its own Naga City Public Safety Office, and that is where we are coming from. The task of the office is not only to execute orders and mandates as an individual unit, but it's also more of a coordinative body within the local government unit. So in other words, we deal with the Naga City Police Office, with the Bureau of Fire Protection, and with the community itself, including our search and rescue units in the locality. So as an office in the local government of the city, PSO is actually handling at least 5 major tasks. The first task would be on traffic management. In this work, in terms of traffic management, we have at least 3 units that are fully functional. One is on traffic direction and control. These are the PSO personnel that you see whenever you are crossing the street. You see them in the middle of the road directing the vehicles. They're actually monitoring also our other traffic direction tools, such as the traffic lights that are installed in the city. So this is a full-time work from 6 a.m. up to 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. at the latest on a daily basis. The second unit in the Traffic Management Center is that on traffic engineering and safety. These are the personnel that handle the pavement markings, when you see the markings of the road. Then also they fabricate and install the road signages, wherein you see the no parking or slow down cautions, like that. So that's part of their work. This is to ensure that the road users are generally guided whenever they are in our city. Now the third major unit in our traffic management division is that on public transport regulation. Now, this would relate directly with you, since this is the unit that directly monitors the 𝗏𝗏, the Trimobiles, and even the e-trikes and other public utilities in the area of responsibility. So whenever you have complaints about arrogant drivers or overcharging, this is the unit that receives the complaint. So the public transport regulation. So all of these 3 units are under our traffic management center. The second division of the office is that on ordinance enforcement. The ordinance enforcement works closely with the Naga City Police Office in ensuring that the major ordinances in the city are actually enforced. So aside from the national agencies that are doing enforcement work in our locality, the Public Safety Office has its own enforcement unit. And we collaborate not only with the PNP, but with other national agencies as well. We are deputized by the Land Transportation Office so that we can issue TOPs and other citations. We work with the National Meat Inspection Service so that in terms of consumer goods, we can look into that as well, including also the DTI for consumer protection. So that's the second major division of the Public Safety Office, Ordinance Enforcement. The third one, which is really, again, closer to your sector, is that on communication and emergency services. For this, we receive all of your distress calls. We receive all of your emergency calls. So that's one number, and whenever we receive that, we farm it out to whoever agency is supposed to respond. So that could be a request for a fire truck whenever there is fire incident. That would be a request for a police assistance whenever you have commotions or rumbles. And that would even include the request for ambulances or medical assistance. So it's a one-stop shop that we operate. And we also have the rescue personnel that are ready to respond on a 24-hour basis. So this is a unit of the Public Safety Office that never sleeps. It works continuously on a 24-hour basis. The fourth division that we have is on administrative services. That would of course be the unit that process all fines and penalties, order of payments for transgressions and violations. And also, they provide the logistical support and the administrative support to all our personnel, including the processing of salaries and other compensations. And the last one, the fifth division, is that on public facilities and civil security. These are our personnel that secure the public properties in our city, from the City Hall building to the Malabsay Falls in the upland areas. So we have deployed security personnel in this area to make sure that the integrity is kept, that no damage is being made to these properties. So given those five major tasks of the Public Safety Office, we are very much present in the city. So you will see every now and then our personnel just within your area, and you may approach them anytime that you would need help. Now that brings me to the second concern, our second major topic for this webinar, which is on the common concerns and threats that are encountered by your sector, the student and the academe, the students and the academe. One of these, let me just enumerate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least seven concerns. One of these is on theft and robbery. Many of you would have encountered losing some properties, knowingly or unknowingly. Maybe when you woke up, it's gone already, your cell phone is gone, or while you are distracted, you lost a cell phone or your bag or your wallet. In any urban context, this would have been ordinary. But at the same time, most vulnerable are the students. When you have your allowances, you have your cell phones and your other properties. It's also vulnerable in the dormitories where you stay. We have been receiving reports about stolen properties, particularly when nobody is in the room that is being occupied. Or there are also other dormitories wherein the windows are vulnerable, and this theft can simply, these thieves can simply pick up your things from the window. So that's the first, theft and robbery. In fact, we have an alarming number of cases that are reported in our city on this matter. But mind you, it's not limited to students, of course. That would include the business sector and the other sectors in our community as well. So the second is on commotions and raffle. If you are familiar about this usually happen in bars and other night spots. The young people would usually start with merrymaking. Everybody's so happy, and every now and then there will come a time when the happy table on the nearby will throw a glance at your table, and because you are drunk, then you get mad and you throw a chair to that person. So these are some of the examples that precipitates or causes commotions in many commercial establishments, including the night spots and the bars. We have several incidents of that recently, and cases have been filed against the transgressors. Next, this is a huge concern for our office on road crash. Accidents in the road do not happen. I'm sure they do not happen by design. But again, we call them road crash because they could have been avoided. Unfortunately, in spite of the repeated calls and cautions and warnings, our road crash incidents in the city is increasing. And some of them are students like you, on their motorbikes, on their cars, and they have these experiences and accidents. Then the fourth one is on online scams and harassment. You are perpetually into the online platform, be that the social media or any other online platform, and this makes you vulnerable. Whenever people get your data, you will be exposed. So please take note of that. We have several incidents of complaints about money being taken away from them, for example, under the guise of selling something which they did not get after paying. So these are online scams that you should be very careful, and that is actually happening in our community. Then the next is on sexual abuse and rape. Take note that the vulnerability is not only with the students, even in the workplace, even in any other situation. This happens. But in the city, we have to be very cautious and conscious about this, particularly on sexual harassment, because this is a serious offense and we will not tolerate any instance of this. But they do happen. And some of them are in the workplace, some of them are in campuses, and some of them are outside at night when you are partying. So this has to be considered as one of the major concerns among students. Then there is a similar concern here, which is on abduction or kidnapping, if I may say. We have not really received any actual report on abductions or kidnapping in our city, but we have been hearing rumors about them from all over, from other parts of the country and even in our locality. Fortunately for us, most of them would turn out to be a misunderstanding or misreporting and eventually negated. So we don't have to wait for that to actually happen. But let's put into our consciousness that criminals like this can also be operating in our locality. Which brings me to the last concern that I would like to raise here, which is on drug abuse. This is a perpetual issue since I have been working in the academy for the past 20 years. The drug abuse situation is really escalating, and we have to address this not only from the supply side but on the demand side. Take note that the students are receiving their allowances that as they would look at you as market, and they would look at you as spenders for their product. So drug abuse is something that that is very risky, and that has also been an actual problem in our campuses. In some of our campuses, you have reported use of drugs and students actually getting caught. So given these threats and concerns for our locality, for our sector, I move into what are the recommendations or what are the things that we should be remembering. This is actually the third part of this input. What are some tips and measures for student protection? Let me begin with the first, on personal safety and security. Take note that the general recognition and avoidance of possible harmful situations or persons in your surroundings should be a continuing effort. Do not get into events that will endanger you. Do not go with persons that would endanger you. So always maintain that vigilance, being alert and critical of the situation and of the persons around you. Second, you have to stay alert and be aware of your surroundings. Give the impression that you are calm, confident, and know where you are going. Trust your instincts. If it doesn't look or feel right, it might not be. So again, this is on the personal level. So whenever you feel that the situation doesn't look good, doesn't feel right, then you better get out of that situation. And finally, some safety tips for your residents, for your houses, for your boarding houses. Just a very quick enumeration. Of course, always keep your doors and windows closed, especially when you are not in the area. Lock them so that you can secure the area. Also, if you are taking medications, keep your medicines in cabinets and ensure that they are accessible to you. This would avoid emergencies like asthma and other situations where you will be needing immediate medication. Keep your floors dry at all times. Many accidents have been caused by sliding in the floor, in your bathrooms, etc. Then, if you can, please ensure that you have alarm system or CCTV as your monitor in your area, particularly at home, if you can do that. At the same time, make sure that they are working so that when you need them, then they can be utilized. You may also want to turn on security lights at night or any light that would illuminate your doors and your windows to discourage burglars. Then keep your rooms locked. Even if your main door is locked already, you may want to keep your own room locked for security reasons. And then never give out your personal information to people that you do not know, particularly on the internet, because that will increase your vulnerability. Okay? So, on that note, if you have concerns, if you encounter emergencies, what do you do then? So, we have in Naga City our hotlines in the Central Communication Center. So whenever you need emergency assistance, call them up. We are flashing the numbers for our Central Communication Center, and that should be able to respond to your needs for police assistance, for the fire department, for rescue, and other emergencies that you may have. So at the same time, I suggest that you also refer to the hotlines of your Office of Student Affairs, of your university, and of any other unit that would be ready to respond. Which brings me to the third point of this. We have several responder groups in the city whenever you are in an emergency. So you have the Naga City Police Office that is also operational 24 hours serving you. Then you have the Bureau of Fire Protection in the city. Then you have the rescue and emergency units that are on monitor 24 hours a day. From the emergency medical services to the search and rescue units that we have. All of these personnel are ready to deploy anytime that you make the call. And on top of that, you have volunteer groups that are ready to assist us also. From the volunteer fire groups such as the 𝗥𝗲𝗄𝗏, the Naga, they're there, also ready 24 hours, to the private medical emergency groups such as the Red Cross and other volunteer rescue groups that are in our city. Let me then conclude this presentation with some recommendations from our side. One would be to continue the practice of inspecting and accrediting dormitories for students, which is a very effective security measure for the safety of our students in the city. That would also pressure the owners, the business owners, to ensure that they're taking good care of our students. And second is the maintenance of a database of our students and their respective dormitories as well as their contact numbers. This would enable us to immediately send or receive any communication, emergency messages from them or our messages for them. Anyway, the most important part is that if the OSA, the Office of Student Affairs in universities, in colleges, could ensure that the students are duly empowered in terms of technological resource capabilities in ensuring the personal safety, so much the better. Because after all, it will be best for us if our units, our agencies are not tapped anymore because the students can handle themselves, because they can take care of their own welfare and security. So these are important considerations that we would like to forward. And as a final word, we hope to continue our collaboration, working together as a community. After all, public safety is not the responsibility of the public sector only, it is our collective responsibility as a community. So thank you very much, and we hope you get something from this discussion.
All right. Thank you, Sir Rene, for that very helpful and informative talk. For our audience, let us show our appreciation by typing clap emojis in the chat box. Ayan, I hope that we can see a lot of clap emojis because that was a very informative talk. As a student, I learned a lot from Sir Rene's presentation. Indeed, student safety plays a crucial role in the development of our youth sector. We recognize that the success of teaching and learning can only take place in a safe and healthy school environment. With the increased levels of physical violence and digital misconduct, there is an ever-growing demand for individuals who can commit to the future safety and security of our schools. Hence, it is the utmost responsibility of school authorities and local governments to protect the future generation from the negative impact of these unforeseen dangers. So ayan, napakarami ng mga clap emojis. That was really a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much, Sir Rene. If you have questions or comments for Sir Rene, please save them for the open forum later. So prepare na tayo dyan ng questions kasi we'll be entertaining that later. But you may already accomplish the Google form that will be shared in the chat box. With all of that said, allow me now to introduce the second speaker for this afternoon's event. Our final speaker is an administrator, teacher, and an advocate of cyber safety. He is a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Computer Science at the Ateneo de Naga University. He took up his master's degree in Information Technology at the University of the Philippines. He is about to finish his doctorate degree in Computer Science at the Ateneo de Manila University. He is an experienced assistant professor with a demonstrated history of working in the higher education industry. He is skilled in analytical skills, Oracle database, PHP, and data or computer science. Currently, he is the Dean of the Computer Studies of Ateneo de Naga University. Ladies and gentlemen and everyone in between, let us please welcome Mr. Joshua C. Martinez.
Thank you very much, Alisa. Just a sound check. Can you hear me?
Yes, po, sir. You are audible.
Let me share my screen before I start. All right, so I hope you can see my presentation slide. All right, so
it's visible po.
Yeah, good day everyone. My talk is on cybersecurity threats, focusing on what you must know, what students must know. Now, I'm given only 30 minutes, so for the time limit given to me, I would like to focus on three things. The first is the digital landscape of the usage of internet in the Philippines. Then, I'll proceed with the overview of cybersecurity in education, and eventually we'll end with the threats and tips on the new and emerging cybersecurity threats. So let's start with an idea of the internet usage in the Philippines. The report I'm going to show you is from the Philippines Digital February 2022 report, published by digitalreportal.com in partnership with We Are Socials and 𝗵𝗵𝘃. We have a total population of 111.8 million in February this year, and 48% of that belongs to people living in urbanized cities or municipalities. Mobile connections exceeded our total population by 40%. This means that some Filipinos are owners of multiple mobile devices, not necessarily mobile phones. No? This could be tablets and even laptops. 68% of the population are internet users, regardless if they are, surfing the web, listening to music at Spotify, or watching videos at Netflix, and etc. 82.4% are active social media users, and probably that includes you and us. No, and this data tells us that majority of Filipinos are engaged with the internet, that the Philippines has presence in the internet. This year, Filipinos on the average spends 10 hours and 27 minutes using the internet. This is actually down from the approximately 11 hours average spend last year. This is expected as most schools shifted from fully online to hybrid, if not full face-to-face. And this number is expected to dwindle in the coming months as DepEd announced a full face-to-face by November this year. But still, a big chunk of our time is spent on the internet. Now, why do we use the internet? There are many reasons, but here are the top 5. So, first is to find information. Second is to stay in touch with friends, family, and others. To research how to do things, watch videos, TV shows, and movies, and find new ideas and inspiration. Education and study is actually just ranked 7th. Now, if you're wondering what are the 10 most visited websites by Filipino internet users, we have in order of visits. We have Google, Facebook, YouTube, Shopee, Wikipedia, Pornhub, Xvideos, Yahoo, Lazada, Twitter. Now, majority are social media and e-commerce platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Lazada, and Shopee. But surprisingly, and I find this alarming, porn sites are in the top 10, having close to 40 million visits per month with 722 million unique visitors. So, Filipinos spend around 17 to 20 minutes per visit on these sites. Now, only about 28% of Filipinos use banking services online. The percentage may appear small, pero translated to a value, the number is in millions. So that is still a big target for hackers or scammers. For social media use, on the average, we spend 4 hours and 6 minutes daily. So I guess, most often than not, a big chunk of the time, admit it or not, is devoted to what? Stalking people. Diba? We stalk friends, families, and, even acquaintances. Now, this data tells us that more and more Filipinos are, doing online financial transactions. Either deposit, withdrawal, transfer of funds, purchase, and the likes. And the bulk of financial transactions is on digital payments. So I think you have experienced GCash, PayMaya, and other digital payment platform. Now, Filipinos, since the pandemic, were glued to online shopping. So around 63% of the total population already purchased a product or a service online. So that's quite a lot. And a person will actually purchase more than one. So what else? Filipinos also spend a lot in media downloads and subscriptions. So around 1.91 billion annual spend has been made by Filipinos last year on video games, video on demand, e-publishing, and digital music. So there's money in these platforms. Since the pandemic, we relied on food delivery service like Food Panda and Hungryly, Pan Delivery, and the likes. So there were around 10.63 million people who ordered food last year via online platforms. So despite the challenges, we can say that the pandemic has brought opportunities too, especially for tech companies. Now, all these presence and interaction online have also brought concerns about privacy and security. There is already rather, some level of awareness of the potential threats online to at least 58.5% of the total population. So more and more Filipinos now worry about, say, how companies store and use their online data and transaction history. That is why some Filipinos already learned to decline cookies, install block ads, or even install VPN or virtual private network to mask their location. But despite this high percentage of awareness, still more Filipinos fall victim of scams, hacking, and other forms of cybercrime. So that is why cyber security and education, or at the very least, digital citizenship, must be taught in schools starting from the basic education level. So this is not just a concern of college students, but actually this is a collective concern, not just by students but all stakeholders, parents, teachers, administrators, even governments. So cybersecurity is a concern of everyone. So what is cybersecurity then? So let me give you three important terms. So we start with cyber. So this pertains to the characteristics of the culture of computers. So it's just a prefix used to describe a person, a thing, or an idea as part of the computer and information age. So anything that deals with computer, you may call it cyber. So what about cybersecurity? This is the practice of defending electronic systems from malicious attacks. So we call it cybersecurity. What about a cyber threat? So it's basically a possible attack on important information stored in your computer. So not just data, but also computer infrastructure. So the purpose actually of the possible attack is to steal, damage, or disrupt digital operations in general. And the fourth term is cybercrime. So it's basically the act now, or the activity carried out by means of computers or the internet. So what is the goal? The goal is to cause disruption or financial gain. So here are several common sources of cyber threats against organizations. So we start with nation states or the hostile countries. So what can they do? They can launch cyber attacks against local companies and institutions, aiming to interfere with communications or even cause disorder and inflict damage. The second source is the terrorist organization. So they can conduct cyber attacks aimed at destroying or abusing critical infrastructure, even threaten national security, disrupt economies, and cause bodily harm to citizens. The third one are the criminal groups. These are organized group of hackers aimed to break into computing systems for economic benefit. So these groups use scams, phishing, spam, spyware, malware for extortion, even theft, and online scams. So the fourth one would be hackers. These are individuals that target organizations using variety of attack techniques. So usually they are a motivated individual for personal gain, for revenge probably, for financial gain, or even political activity. And the last one is the malicious insider. This is an employee or even a student who has legitimate access to company assets and abuses their privileges to steal information or damage computing systems for economic or personal gain. So these are some or the most common sources of cyber security threats. Now, why are schools a hot target for criminal groups or hackers? There are 4 reasons, but there are many still. Number one, schools have vulnerable programs. So majority of the applications are developed in-house, and those applications probably may not be tested for security loopholes. So even during the pandemic, schools have turned to online applications and social media platforms, and these subscriptions created new opportunities for cyber criminals to steal data and spread malware. Kasi ginamit natin, but did we even ask if the application is secure? Would they be able to counteract cyber attack? So those things are probably, well, it could be a priority of the school, but those things probably have not been thought of, no, during the subscription of the software. The second is basically the new baiting opportunities. No? So we have online spaces since the pandemic. And there are now more opportunities for attacks, especially in social engineering attack. What is this? It's basically someone, no, posing as a company representative and then offering, let's say, services, scholarships, and will bait you in giving you your credentials. That's one. That's the second one, rather, new baiting opportunities. The third is on devices. So basically, institution could lease, no, or give out devices to their students for their studies. However, most students are not aware of the necessary security updates. They will just, receive the technology or the laptop and they will use it. No, not aware of the necessary updates to do in that computer. So those things can be exploited for viruses and malware. And the last one is when the school's network go down because of an attack or cyber attack, usually institutions become desperate to restore them. So with time against them and pressure from stakeholders, institutions are more likely to cave in, to the demands of the cyber criminals. So most often than not, school pay a hefty amount of money to regain access and data. So with all these reasons, there are still many schools who are vulnerable to threats. Example, in this web article shows that education sector is really an easy prey from cyber criminals. This was in October 2021. There's another article that was posted last January, just this year, explaining that there was a 75% increase of cyber attacks in the education sector. Here's another article from Philippine Star, posted November 2021, warning us that the cyber attacks can increase in the Philippines and that the Philippines should rethink our strategies in combating cyber threats or cyber attacks. Here's also a group of cybersecurity individuals, and they corroborated that the Philippines is actually in the top list of cyber attacks in the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Rappler also posted in their May 2022 article that 69% of the organization in the Philippines experienced already ransomware attacks last year. And I think this number could still increase with the prevalence of new opportunities for cyber criminals. And this is sad. Because of the pandemic, 6 out of 10 children are already exposed to cyber risks online. Now, what are the reasons why hackers target you? You may or may not agree with me, but based on studies, students make easy targets. Probably they would experience difficulty with college students, but for high school, for grade school students, they are an easy prey for hackers. The young population is often inexperienced and falls prey more easily to common hacking techniques. Why? Number one is you use unsecured devices. What else? You install whatever you want to install without going through the privacy, the user license, the information that will be stored, that will be used by these apps. And also, according to the study, students now are stranger friendly in general. So you are very accommodating to stranger, either rather face to face or online. So strangers can actually use this to penetrate the campus, both offline and online. So which brings me to the threats and the tips that you should be aware of, and also the tips that you should do to prevent the cyber threat to happen. So let me focus first the possible cybersecurity threats on students. There could be more, but according to studies, these are the common threats on students. So we have malware, we have phishing, we have file sharing, confecting, and data theft. So let me go over them one by one. So we start with malware. So what are these? Malware is a software intended to steal or damage data and destroy computer systems. Malware is basically short for malicious software. So malware, malicious software. So there are many ways it can spread to a device. Halimbawa, you receive a spam email, or you receive a fake message, or there is a pop-up ad. These are notorious for carrying malware. Even downloading any kind of software from the internet also increases the risk of being secretly infected by malwares. And this is also true even for applications acquired through legitimate methods. So what are the types of malware? There are many, but let me focus on just 6. So we have computer viruses. So just like humans, computers can also be infected by viruses. And students can easily acquire this by downloading. Let's say you are downloading a PDF or a Word document from an unknown source or an untrusted source. Once you open the Word document, it activates. Alright, so once activated, the virus can now disrupt your computer. So it could rename your files. It could, for example, make your computer hang. It could freeze. It could restart. It could give you a blue screen and other things. So those are the effects of having viruses in your computer, even in your mobile phone. The second would be Trojan horses. So this type of virus masquerades as helpful software. They trick you into downloading a file, only to find out that it caused harm already in your computer. So ano yung damage caused by Trojan horses? It could be from irritating pop-ups to major data loss. Meaning to say, it will wipe out your data in the computer. So tinawag siyang Trojan because it was based after the famous incident in the Iliad. Kaya tinawag na Trojan horses. Next is spyware. So this is a type of malware that runs discreetly. So it silently steals personal data or sensitive information without, of course, you knowing. So that's basically what we call as spyware. The fourth one, which spreads instantly, we call it worms. So it's still a virus, but what separates a worm from a virus is its ability to compromise a device instantly. So the moment you download the worm, it will start affecting your computer system. If your computer is connected to the internet, the computers connected to the same network will also be infected. And of course, the systems connected to it as well. So students and schools are often targeted with worms because of course, the network. But there are many students, we have many campus Wi-Fi, hotspots, and also we use databases, we have learning management systems and others. So they target really students and schools. The fifth one would be hardware. So these are software that automatically displays or downloads advertising material when a user is online. So if you are experiencing this, that means you are infected by an adware. So ever experience having a pop-up and then you did not open anything yet except for Gmail or other trusted websites, then that means your browser could be infected by an adware. And the sixth one, which is something that you should avoid, ransomware. So it is designed to find your data and then encrypt it. So hackers will know where to find your sensitive data. And in this case, you will no longer have access to your accounts or files. So if you want to get your information back, then you'll have to provide payment to the cyber criminal, to the hacker, or to the scammer. So these attacks are common among university and school websites because of the pressure to get the sensitive details. Halimbawa, nandun lahat yung thesis documents mo. And you have been infected by a ransomware, so the cyber criminal can ask you to pay in return of in returning your valuable documents. So these are the types of malware. So what are the tips to prevent malwares? Well, number one, keep your software up to date. So no application is 100% safe against malware. So always run regular updates, patches to fix the vulnerabilities of your software, especially your operating system. Second, it's best that you install antivirus and malware software. So normally there are software that offers two-in-one, antivirus and malware software. So these are programs that detects viruses, spyware, and other malicious software. So this program will also remove, not just detect but remove viruses, spyware, and other malicious software. So just make sure after installation you regularly update the database engine for the viruses and the malware. Number 3, when you use your laptop, create non-administrator accounts. Yung administrator accounts kasi, it has all the privileges, diba? It can run potentially harmful software, it could delete your files, so all the privileges will be there. So if you have not done so, create a non-administrator account with limited privileges. So, halimbawa, hindi siya makapag-run hanggat hindi mo ina-allow yung software to run, or you cannot delete, and etc. So that's basically the silver lining here, if you want to catch a malware. Kasi normally the malware executes if the system allows it to execute, and having an administrator account will get you in trouble. So if you have a laptop, if you have a computer, of course you should know your administrator account, but create a non-administrator account, and that's the account that you should use every time that you connect to the internet or you use it for productivity. Alright, and use strong passwords. So that's another tip. Come up with strong passwords. So the reason why a lot of websites have high demands, because a longer password is harder to crack. So normally pag sinabing longer password, that includes uppercase letters, lowercase letters, numbers, and special symbols. Those things are really hard to crack. If you only have text as passwords, letters, then it could easily be cracked. But if you combine it with a number, then it takes time. If you combine it with a special symbol or an uppercase, then it could potentially take them more time to crack. So come up with a strong password. And if the application offers it, try to activate and use the multi-factor authentication. So if it is available, you enable the additional security question or a PIN. So normally upon logging in, there's an extra layer of security. It would ask you for a security question, or if not, a PIN is sent to your mobile number or to your email. So you have to enter that PIN for you to be able to log in. So that's number 5, on how to prevent malwares. And the last 2 would be look out for suspicious activity. So this goes out to not just your Gmail account or Gbox account, not just your social media accounts, but all your accounts across all devices. So halimbawa, you find a purchase that you cannot remember, then that is a suspicious activity. Or Facebook sent you a message that you have logged in Kenya or US, so that is a suspicious activity. And the last one is, of course, avoid suspicious emails, links, and files. Normally, yung Gmail, it filters suspicious emails. They classify it as spam. And also, it comes with antivirus, cloud antivirus. So it scans the file if it's infected by a virus. So, yan. So avoid opening emails that are suspicious. Avoid clicking links that naman is say fraud, and avoid files that you think it's not something that you can just open. So that's the first, malware. The second would be email phishing. So what is phishing? It's basically a cyber attack in which hackers administer a fraudulent activity employing a lot of things, email, telephone, text message, or phone calls. So phishers will try to steal your sensitive information like credit card, could steal your ID information, and it could trick you in doing something. To confirm your identity, they could tell you that your account is compromised and you will have to log in so that we can safeguard your account. That is an email phishing. So it's focused on emails, no, to steal information. And the goal is for the receiver to open the email and provide the requested info by clicking the link. So normally the email contains one of these, files, content that asks you to log in information, or a tech support email saying that your account has been compromised, an offer about scholarships or loans, work from home scams, ads regarding scholarships, and others. So that's email phishing. Now, this is an example of an email phishing. So, like, you can watch out for a fake domain in the sender. So this is an email supposedly sent by Microsoft, but look at the sender. It's not basically an email coming from a trusted source, trusted domain. So usually if it comes from Microsoft, it should be Microsoft.com or Office365.com. So it's a fake domain. Also, the trusted companies never threaten their customers. So like deleting the account, turning it off. So that's a threat. That is an indication that you are being phished. And then spelling mistakes, grammar mistakes, even fake email signatures are indication that that is a phishing email. Most often than not, you receive, for example, an email from your bank asking you to respond to a fraudulent activity. So you need to log in. So do not click the link. So that is a phishing mail. So banks like BDO, BPI, they always remind us through email, through our phones, to watch out for scammers or for phishing email. So they often give us tips on how to spot phishing emails, phishing text. So what do you need to keep in mind? There's no official organization that will ask a student or any other person to send personal data via email without warning. So in particular banks, they will not ask you for your password. So please be wary in giving information to strangers. So what are the tips to avoid email phishing? Well, do not share your personal information. So I think Sir Rene has stressed this. Do not share your personal information. That is also true to the cyber world. Make sure that the sender of the email is legitimate. Use filters in your mailbox. So do not open spam mails classified by your email provider. Don't post personal information on untrusted websites, like posting your mobile number, posting your address, or even your course at school and others. And the fifth one is, of course, use multi-factor authentication. So the one giving out PIN or added extra layer of security. Now, the third type of cyber security threat is the social media phishing. So this is just like the email phishing, but it happens in the social media platforms, like Facebook, WhatsApp, Snapchat, Instagram. So the scammer connects with victims through chats or through posts, and mostly you receive an enticing invitation to click a link or to provide personal information. Like, for example, if you answer this survey, you'll win a car, or you get a chance to win free tickets from Philippine Airlines. So this particular post is a social media phishing post. So if you are keen, the URL is not philippineairlines.com, but it's philippineairlines.com-flying.com. So this is an easy social media phishing post to identify. So there are many social media phishing. So like messaging you or posting as a comment, asking you to click, and others. So what are the tips to prevent social media phishing? Now, accept friend requests with caution. So do not just accept friends because you want to grow the number of your friends. So make sure that you are only befriending someone that you know. So friends na kayo dati. So don't befriend someone you do not know. So carefully examine their account. Then avoid links that request personal information. Create a unique login and password for each platform. I know this is difficult to do, but in order for you not to be threatened, by cyber criminals, is for you to create at least different passwords for different social media platforms or different accounts for each application. So that's the best thing to do, But if you cannot, then make sure that you have a strong password. Fourth is, do not share your personal information, and check if the account is legitimate or verified. So normally, social media platforms will tell you, if the account is verified or not. So you can actually accept those verified. If the account is not verified, then do some stalking before you accept. Diba? So check the photos, check the posts. If there are no posts, then magduda na. Baka hindi yun yung legitimate account. Alright, so that's about social media phishing. Then we have problems on file sharing. So this is the P2P file sharing. P2P means peer-to-peer file sharing. So I think you know by now that sharing information can be dangerous. Even when you download and when you send file, that is also dangerous. So people do not realize how easy for hackers to capture those files you share and you send. But I would like to focus particularly on these file sharing apps. So I hope many of you do not have these software. These are P2P software. You can download any files here, from movies, from music, from tutorials and others. So these software are risky. Why? Because hackers can gain access to your sensitive data. If you download movies, then you participate in criminal activity. Diba? Attackers can also infect your software because after downloading, you will try to open the movie. So apparently it's not a movie, but it's a malware, and others. So there are plenty of risks in installing a peer-to-peer software. So what are the tips to prevent P2P file sharing risks? So update your software. Don't use dubious Wi-Fi. So some students kasi prefer doing work at cafes and other public places. So before sharing any files, make sure that your connection is secured. Then change your password regularly. Make sure your password is strong. Avoid emails that are suspicious. Do not download, of course, files that you think is not in a secure site. And lastly, only use secure file sharing programs like Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive, and the likes. Now, the second to the last is 𝗏𝗏ecting, which is an issue to students, especially to our young students. What do you mean by 𝗏𝗏ecting? It's basically a malware that targets your camera on your device. So when your system becomes infected, the hacker can view everything that is fed in the camera. So even when you record, then the file can still be accessed by the cyber criminal. So they can gain access to camera controls, turning them on and off without the user's knowledge. So this is what we call as 𝗏𝗏ecting. You might be asking, should I be bothered about 𝗏𝗏ecting? Well, it seemed like a priority concern, a low priority rather concern. However, there are several reasons why you need to be vigilant about 𝗏𝗏ecting. Number one is it might be that the person is stalking you. So monitoring your movement in your room, even when you dress, so it can get a hold of your camera. Blackmailing. So for example, na-record ka na nila na you're undressing. So they could blackmail you. Also, they could use that to steal data from you. So that's basically theft. And of course, further hacking. So those are things that you should be mindful of if you are infected with a 𝗏𝗏ecting malware. So what are the tips to prevent 𝗏𝗏ecting? Turn off your devices when you don't use them. Kasi even the most skilled hacker, cyber criminal cannot hack into a device that is off. So make it a habit to turn it off if you are not using it. What else? Disable your camera for websites and apps. So check your browser, no, and your mobile device settings. So turn off the access to your camera for sites and applications that is dubbed, no, as dubious or scrupulous. So you can access it and disable. Then monitor whether someone is using your camera. So there are programs, no, that can monitor processes, and it's easy, no, to spot if someone is using your camera. Why? Because the light, no, beside your camera lights on. So you know that someone is accessing. So if you have not turned on, let's say, your Google Meet or Zoom, then that means someone is using your camera. And then check what programs that use the camera, and also keep your software updated. The last one is on data theft, which is the main concern, no? Because this is the end goal of every cyber crime. Hackers gain access to your information and use it for their benefit. So these are the reasons, no, why they steal data. So identity theft. So they can steal your name, their address, your ID number, date of birth, and those information are enough not to commit identity theft. We also have credit fraud, so credit or debit fraud. So they can use it, no, to apply credit cards or to transact in banks if they can get a hold of your credit card or your debit card. Account takeover, which happens almost frequently. You cannot anymore log into your account. So even if you click forgot password, since they get a hold of your account, so you cannot do so. No? So that's account takeover. Then blackmailing. So I think you know this already. No? So you are to pay in exchange of the data they stole. Then nuisance marketing. So I think you have been receiving text messages. No? So that means at some point you shared your number. So saan nakukuha yan nila? Let's say you shop online. No? Either Lazada and Shopee. So since you indicated your address and your phone number, so those things can easily be shared, no, by sellers. So they can actually sell your information. And then cyberbullying. So of course, this is sharing personal information about someone else, causing embarrassment or humiliation. So this is a serious, no, reason for data theft. So how do you protect yourself from cyberbullying? So never post personal information, not just numbers, not just home address, but pictures of your house, pictures of your family. Do not post it in your social media site. Do not accept random friends. Always check your security settings. Don't store important information in your phone. Like, I will save all my passwords in my mobile phone. No, don't do that. Use a journal, no? Literal journal to store your password, no? And others. So what do you do if you are a victim of cyberbullying? Well, you have to be clear with your attacker that you want to be left alone. No? You can use filters to block them off. Then take screenshots, save emails, text, voice messages to document the harassment. And always report the problem, no, to your parent, or if not, to the campus administrator, to 𝗏𝗂, and to the local government. So you can report them. And always seek counseling if you need it. So that's how you, that's how you can counteract cyberbullying. So what are the sources of data theft? Free Wi-Fi. So if you keep on using a public Wi-Fi, so this could be a source of data theft. Online purchases, free apps, music, games, phones, and social media, security questions, weak passwords, dubious celebrity websites. So acting like that website is owned by the celebrity. So normally they offer malwares. No? So these are the common sources of data theft. So how do you prevent them? So be mindful what you share online. Don't keep your passwords in the notes of your devices. You install a two-step authentication. Read the terms and conditions of the websites before you create an account. And then update your software, especially your operating system and your antivirus and malware. So to end this, what are the 9 ultimate tips for students with regards to cybersecurity? So number 1, update your software regularly. Number two, if you have the money, spend it on a good antivirus. Third, don't share personal details online. Fourth, avoid unsecured websites. Fifth, get creative with your passwords. Sixth, ensure that your email account is secure. 7, don't use public Wi-Fi without a virtual private network. Then use two-step verification. And 9, put a sticker on your webcam if not in use. So that would be all. I hope you learned something from the talk. So thank you very much.
Wow, that was such a valuable talk on cybersecurity, Sir Joshua. To appreciate our speaker, let us all flood the comment section once again with clap emojis. Indeed, educators must teach students to be effective, thoughtful, and ethical digital creators. Students should be afforded opportunities to use digital tools to gain the necessary skills for the 21st century in order to help them be responsible users of technology. Of course, it is a collective responsibility for us to protect one another online and maintain positive digital relationships. Ayun, nakakatuwa na there are a lot of clapping emojis na nakikita ko sa comment section. So your talk is well appreciated po, Sir Joshua. For now, we are done with the first part of our webinar. And I know that after listening to the 2 presentations by our competent speakers, I am sure that you are excited to ask your questions. In fact, I can already see a lot of questions in our Google form. But before that, may I know if you are still with us? Kumusta naman ang ating mga students and faculty members dyan? O, tapos na tayo sa clapping emojis. Please send the emojis that describe your feelings after our webinar. So you can send any random emoji na nafe-feel nyo at the moment. So ayun, I can see a lot. There are smiley faces, may nakita sunflower, may mga heart. Ayun. So I guess you are all happy after the presentation of our speakers. But before the open forum, may we just recognize the presence of our students of the CIFP and NSTP program of the Ateneo de Naga University. We thank the faculty, especially to the department head, Ma'am Jude. So I'd like to thank all of our NSTP and CIFP students who gave us their time, who lent their time so that they can join us in this webinar. Moreover, we would also like to greet our 400 plus live stream viewers on YouTube. Yes, we already have 400 live stream viewers on YouTube, but if we add our Zoom audience, we currently have almost 1,000 participants in total for this webinar. So ayun, nakakatuwa naman na we have a lot of students interested for their safety and protection. We also acknowledge the cooperation of national and regional officers of PAPSAS. Thanks to PAPSAS, we are being viewed by students and student affairs practitioners from Bicol and other parts of the country. Moreover, since this is a student safety webinar, we would like to present the different emergency hotline numbers within Ateneo de Naga University and the entirety of Naga City. All of these hospital, rescue, police, fire, and government institution phone numbers will surely be helpful to everyone. So we will be presenting the hotline numbers once again, and feel free to screenshot because for sure this will be helpful to everyone. So ayun, hintayin lang natin mag-share screen. Ayan. So feel free to screenshot the emergency phone numbers kasi for sure kakailanganin natin yan in the future, and that is always helpful for emergency circumstances. So ayan. Screenshot tayo. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So now that we are done with the emergency phone numbers, by the way, we'll also be sending this one according to our tech team. So now that we are done with the first part, we have now come to the second part. And this will be the open forum of the program. At this point, may I now invite our speakers, invited sharers, and reactors, as well as Sir Sonny, to join us in this open forum. Our sharers or reactors for today are the following. We have Dr. Gilda Gayle Gomez, the Councilor of Naga City Sangguniang Panlungsod, and the faculty and a faculty of the Psychology Department in the Ateneo de Naga University. Second, we have Police Senior Master Sergeant 𝗏𝗏𝗏 𝗏, the spokesperson of the Naga City Police Office. We also have student reactors. We have Miss Sophia Ruth R. Maclang, a fourth-year BS Psychology student and CHSS representative of Ateneo de Naga University's Student Supreme Government. And last but not the least, we have Mr. 𝗥𝗲𝗏𝗏 the president of the Central Student Government in Naga College Foundation. I would like to greet everyone with a very, very pleasant afternoon. To our participants, after the sharing of our reactors, you are free to take part in this conversation. Kindly click the raise hand button. Again, click the raise hand button and you may unmute your mic and open your video to speak. However, please wait because I will be recognizing you in case you have questions and you have already raised your hand. Just a reminder again to the open forum participants, please make your question or sharing of insight brief and concise. Again, please make it brief and concise. I would also like to note that there will be only one question per participant due to time constraint. We'll be reading the questions as well that we have collected from the Google form. So without further ado, we'll now have the reactions. Our first sharer or reactor is Dr. Gilda Gayle Gomez. Hello, Ma'am Gayle. Thank you so much for joining us, po. The virtual floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Okay. My reaction or my sharing will focus on the role of mindfulness in promoting personal safety. Safety is second to the basic needs, no, in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's a concept that we have in psychology. By creating environments where people feel safe to themselves, people are actually positioned to be the very best that they can be. So there are some tips, no, that I'd like to share with you. First, these are also mentioned by Sir Rene and then Sir Josh earlier. I hope people could actually include being safe as part of their daily activity. Now, so put that down in your calendar. When you write down your to-do things for the day, you can put, no, on the first. Your first actually to do is to be safe. Okay, so that will remind you to provide that. We believe that there's an invisible fence, no, surrounding us, and so when we recognize that for ourselves, then that actually provides, no, the safety net for us. And then this was also mentioned earlier, eliminate opportunities where you can be unsafe. This would include, no, sound judgment on our part. Saang lugar ako magiging safe? Saang lugar ako magiging at risk? No? What activities would I do that can cause trouble, no, on my part? And then the focus actually of my sharing, which is really just very brief, is the practice of mindfulness, no, in promoting safety for ourselves. So it's so easy to say, no, na be aware of yourself and your actions. It's so easy to say that we should be aware of the places that we go to. However, if we try to put mindfulness and then consider it as a habit, there are actually studies which connect, no, the relationship between the two. So mindfulness is a mental state, na actually that can be achieved when we focus our awareness on the present moment. So meaning, kung halimbawa mindful tayo, kung naglalakad tayo, we focus on ano ba yung dinadaanan natin. Okay, so pwedeng hindi ka mag-trip over or matumba kasi nandun daw yung focus mo, no, to give a very basic example. But at the same time, when we practice mindfulness, we are also calmly acknowledging and accepting our own feelings, thoughts, and first and foremost, yung bodily sensations, okay? So mindfulness puts a lot of attention to what is happening in our bodies. And so, if there are times no when we feel that we are in danger, hindi na, okay. So parang nararamdaman natin yung sa katawan natin, no? So we can have what pwedeng magpalpitate, no? Pwedeng mag-cause ng anxiety, and when we are mindful, we recognize all this. So mababantayan mo na yung sarili mo. Pwedeng sabihin mo na bakit ako kinakabahan? Okay, why am I feeling this way? Why do I feel such jitters in my body? So instead of continuing what you're doing, which can put you your safety at stake, pwedeng sabihin mo na baka hindi magiging okay yung kapag ginawa ko pa tong behavior na to. Okay? And I also do believe that it's everyone's responsibility, no? It's not just the local government's responsibility, but first and foremost, individually, everyone must be aware, no? What are situations when I will not be safe anymore? What are the rights, no? What are my rights that can be violated when such actions are done towards me? Okay, so in the local level, in terms of policies, Rene mentioned this already, the LGU must also be prepared, no, na dapat ma-moderate din, dapat may makapag-promote din tayo ng safety towards our constituents. So ang Naga City po mayaman sa ordinances, no, promoting safety. Perhaps to name a few, if you if I may ask your indulgence to mention some of the ordinances that has been passed, no, promoting safety towards our constituents. No, so we have actually an ordinance, no, which localized RA 10666. So this is an act providing for the safety of children aboard motorcycle in Naga City. Diba? So balitaan nyo na po siguro yon, no? There's also another ordinance, no, ensuring road safety and protection, particularly to children and minors, by mandating additional road safety measures, prohibiting the kabit, sabit, or top load boarding of buses, jeepneys, and trimobiles. Okay? There's also an ordinance declaring the second Tuesday of February every year a safer internet day for children in the Philippines. And in terms of violence against women and children and domestic violence, we have an ordinance promoting positive and non-violent forms of discipline of children, prohibiting corporal punishment and all forms of degrading and humiliating punishment of children, and providing penalties thereof. We also have an ordinance penalizing domestic violence as defined, providing protective measures therefore and for other purposes. And this is not the last, no, but at least in the list that I'm going to share, an ordinance providing a comprehensive code for the welfare of children in Naga City and support systems. And one more, an ordinance implementing care for abused children in the city. So these are just some of the policy that has been that are already in place to also ensure that your local government is also helping everyone, no, in promoting safety. I am happy to note that in our own school, in our own university, hindi rin po nagpapabaya yung administration, no, so ensure safety of everyone. So it actually begins with the self, no, even if in the environment provides all the regulations, however, if one does not realize, no, the importance of putting oneself free from danger, sayang din po, sayang yung efforts. And so we call for, we promote mindful safety, no? There are actually activities provided by the guidance center, no, of not only of the college but also of the senior high and junior high. Ang alam ko po, there are activities that teach students, no, about mindfulness. So if that could help you in the process, you can avail of these services. That's all po for my sharing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Gayle, for sharing with us the value of mindfulness and safety policies. Our next reactor is Sir Tobias Bongon III. He will be here with us today to share with us the policies of the PNP. Good afternoon, sir.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. You are audible po.
Good afternoon, everyone. Is my audio clear?
Yes po, sir. It is very clear.
Thank you. Thank you. Can I share a screen? The camera, please turn on. Hello.
Hello po, sir. Yes, you can be seen po.
I'm visible? Okay.
Yes po, sir. You are visible.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It's been a very fruitful afternoon after two speakers have shared very informative data from their own versions. Sir Rene Gumba, of course, shared a very relatively practical tips and guides, recommendations on crime prevention, actually, and presented also the different divisions of public safety office, of his office. The presentation of Sir Rene was very detailed and comprehensive. Likewise, Sir Joshua Martinez also gave us very informative presentation on very figurative data on cyber concerns, especially the security tips on the online world. Anyway, all of this that we are taking up concerns about crime. On our part, the Philippine National Police, the Naga City Police Office in particular, is very much aware, very much concerned on the safety and security of everyone, especially young students, especially young people. They are all vulnerable in every aspects of their lives. But this is my personal question. Why do crimes happen? Why do crimes occur? You know, this is just to share to everyone. Kung taano po tayo kitang krimen, ano po? On the anatomy of crime, there are three elements that to be considered, ano po? These elements or anatomy of crime these three should always be present in order for a crime to be consummated. In a way, what are those three elements that we have to consider that crime is consummated or crime occurred? The first, on the part of the criminal himself, there is a motive. There is a desire on the part of the criminal. The desire of criminal to commit a crime. There will be no crime if there will never be a desire or motive on the part of the criminal. The second element is the instrumentality or the capability of the criminal himself. Dahil niya kayang mag-hold up kung mayo man siyang patarom. Dahil niya kayang mag-hold up kung mayo man siyang kakayahan. Dahil niya kayang snatch kung pilay siya, mayo siyang kakayahan. The instrumentality or capability or the target of criminal's desire. And the third element is the opportunity. pagkakataon. The third element is very important on our part. The would-be victims of every crime. There will be no crime, even there is a motive or desire, or even there is an instrumentality or capability on the part of the criminal, if there is no opportune time or there is no opportunity or pagkakataon on the part of ourselves. For example, a young lady, a 20-year-old lady, in the middle of the night, walking in the dark, pagkaaga po, may bareta na na-rape. Taano po ta nagkaigwang rape? Because there is an opportunity. The opportunity is the only element in the crime that we can do something about it. Ang motive, the desire, the instrumentality or capability of the criminal, relatively, halos mayo na po kitang magiginibo. Nasa pagkatao na yan kang criminal. But the only thing that we can fight para dahil mangyari ang sarong krimen is the opportunity. No opportunity, there will be no crime. Let us always remember, sabi nga ni Sir 𝗏𝗏 during his opening message, student safety is a collective responsibility. Sabi man ni Sir Joshua, it is also a collective responsibility. Sabi man ni Sir Rene Subago, public safety is a responsibility of everyone. What is the common term? What is the common message? Responsibility. Let us always remember that crime prevention is not the sole responsibility of the PNP or any law enforcement agency. It is everybody's concern. Ang satuya lang pong pag-iwas na dahil kita mabiktima ng anuman na klase ng krimen is already a triumph on our part. It is a shared responsibility. By not letting us to be victim of any crime is already a triumph on our part. There will be no crime if there is no opportune time. There is no opportunity given to these criminal elements. The sad reality is that every criminal comes from a family or from a community. Every good person also comes from a family and from a community. Children, according to psychology, with due respect to Ma'am Gayle, children learn what they live and they live what they learn. Ang kriminal po hali sa sarong pamilya. So dakulaon pong maray ang part, dakulaon na maray ang role kan family, kan immediate community, kan every individual, kung anong klaseng magiging ang tao sa iyang community, sa tuyang society. On our part, the Naga City Police Office is always on guard on all the security concerns and safety concerns of everybody. The Naga City Police Office is always indulged in every activities that concern security of the people of Naga, especially, particularly. Yan lang po siguro ang so far ang ma-share ko ngunyan. If there is or there are some questions that will be addressed to me, I am very much ready and willing to answer those questions. And hopefully, maging maraya sa tuyang ko yan, discussion until the end of this session. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you so much, Sir Bonggon, for sharing with us a clear discussion on the reasons and elements as to why crimes exist. Thank you as well for highlighting our individual and collective responsibility to promote student and public safety. Let us flood the comment section once again with clap emojis to appreciate our reactor. Now, may we call on our student reactors, Ms. Sophia Maclang from the Ateneo de Naga University Supreme Student Government, followed by Mr. John Neil 𝗥𝗲𝗙, the President of the Central Student Government in Naga College Foundation. Hello, Sophia and John. The floor is yours.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, so hi everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Sir both Sir Josh and Sir Rene for their giving their time to be with us here today. And with that being said, I would also like to give my own specific thanks to Sir Rene for his invaluable contribution to our local community in protecting us with the specifics of um, his duties and responsibilities. But with that being said po, I am concerned, however, that given the current situation of the state of the nation right now, I would like to ask if currently is there any how do I would I describe this? Is there any way or is there any way that you would describe that the current situation now yung sa pag-handle ng mga common concerns and threats such as robbery, yung mga commotions and rumbles, maybe the harassments and even is there or due to the rise in cases in recent times, is it becoming more difficult to handle? And as for Sir Josh, I would like to ask, since the rise of the online education, students have actually been trying to find their own way on how to earn a living to be able to help their parents. And with that being said, a lot of these students are actually trying to do that by finding work online through certain BPO companies or maybe through virtual assistant work since a lot of those are actually very popular right now. And given that situation, it is actually very common or much easier siguro for these students to be susceptible to these kinds of threats that you have mentioned earlier in your presentation. So with that being said, may I ask po on any tips that you can give for working students who are trying to get into these certain companies, see how we could probably verify their legitimacy and yung possible safety tips that we can probably take so that we won't be susceptible to these kinds of threats. Thank you.
Okay, so since Miss Sophia already laid down her questions, I'd like to ask Sir Gumba to turn on his microphone and camera so that we can accommodate the question of Miss Sophia. Good afternoon, sir.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon po.
Good afternoon. The question is on, is there anything new given the situation that we have? So far, if there are increases in incidents, that would simply demand a more intense response among the responders. But the personnel and the institutions would remain constant and their task would remain constant. For example, if it's a matter of peace and order, the Naga City Police Office would be our frontliners. Halimbawa, nung may mga rumble tayo sa mga bars, ang unang-unang tutugon ay yung ating Naga City Police Office. And that is why their capability is very, very much developed along this line. So if you are asking about anything, is there anything new? So far, wala. Wala tayong binago sa mga institusyon, sa mga tao na tutugon sa mga sitwasyon na yan. Ang magkakaiba-iba lang siguro ay yung antas ng utindi ng pagtugon na gagawin. As in fire incidents, for example, the bigger the fire, the more respondents that you will be needing. So in crime, if there are increasing number of crimes, of course, the PNP would focus on preventive measures and on intensifying these measures to address that. So in general po, sinasabi lang natin, the number of incidents, the rising or falling of incidents would simply vary our response, the intensity of our responses. But the units and the personnel involved are here and prepared to handle these situations.
All right. Thank you so much po, Sir Rene, for accommodating the question of Ms. Sophia. I think she is satisfied with the very comprehensive answer that you gave. Let us now move on to Sir Josh for the other question of Miss Sophia.
All right.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you, Sophia, for the question. Actually, aside from the things no that I've mentioned to spot phishing and other sorts no of cybersecurity threat, if you are applying no for a job, how do you spot if, say, a job offer is a scam or it is a valid offer? No. So normally there are indications. Number one, they offer you a lot of things. So as you know, no, that the organizations have limits. They cannot give you things that they do not actually have, especially if the job is the job is merely a very parang your task is very limited, no, to say data encoding, and then your offer then the offer is very high, no? So usually that's an indication that the offer is a scam. Also, some job offer, no, they would try to get your private information as much as possible. So like for example, your social security number, your bank account details, and probably other personal details, no, not required by the job offer. So think twice, no, because that means that particular offer might be a scam or a fake. Also, if they are asking about, say, credit card information, not just your security number or bank details, but say if you have a credit card information and it's not actually part, no, of the job offer, then that means that particular job offer is a scam. Also, if there is an imbalance between the pay and the work, kasi there are no free lunches, no, in the world, and the same holds true to any job offer. So if you are being made an offer that requires less work from you and yet offers, you know, more pay that is unbelievably high, then it's too good to be true. So that means you have to do your due diligence and research. And normally, trusted organizations, no, they have online presence. So you have to befriend Google and check if the company offering you a job has online presence. So normally the information is there. So if you are not contented with their online presence, you might want to call or you might want to email the organization. So usually, when you just verify, normally the organization responds that yes, we have a standing offer for you, or if not, they would respond, we don't have any job offer for anyone. So those are things, no, that you can actually know, so that you can spot scam offers, especially for online jobs.
Hey, thank you so much, Sir Josh, for giving us very specific answers as to how we could deal with scams. Okay, so our next reactor will be Mr. 𝗥𝗲𝗄𝗵𝘂, the president of the Central Student Government of Naga College Foundation.
Good afternoon po. Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible na po?
Hello, hello, John. Your audio is quite soft on my end.
Oh, okay.
Could you repeat your?
Good afternoon. Okay na po.
Okay, it's okay na po. It's audible now. Virtual floor
Okay.
is yours.
So,
Thank you.
once again, good afternoon. Thank you so much, Ateneo de Naga University, for inviting me as one of the reactors, to Sir Joshua, to Sir Rene, and to Councilor Gayle. Thank you so much po for your knowledge that you shared to us for this afternoon. So, my insights and my sharing po is for focus on student safety and using of social media. So, we all know that crimes is so much rampant. It's rampant nowadays in our community. So I think the public safety office should strengthen the services that they should offer for us to promote a safe and secure community for all the Nagaeños. Ano po? So for the safety of every students po, siguro po kinakailangan na bawat paaralan sinusigurado na kapag papasok at lalabas ang bawat estudyante sa kanilang paaralan, they should promote a safe and secure environment for all their students. And of course, in using social media, we all know that social media has disadvantages and advantages. So when we are using social media, we need to focus on the advantages of social media para po makatulong sa atin. So if we are going to find information, we need to find those credible and reliable information. And lastly, if we are going to post our pictures or videos in social media, we should always to think before we click, because that is very important na po when using social media. Yan lang po. That's for my sharing. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, John Neil, for that wonderful reaction. Now we will be entertaining other questions from our participants, from our general audience, and your questions may be directed to Sir Rene, Sir Josh. We also have Sir Bonggon here, so you could also direct your question to Sir Bonggon, since he is another authority that is very special in this event. So now that we have already finished the reactions from our invited reactors, we will now present a case scenario, and we will ask the speakers to give their response or advice within these scenarios. So the Office of Student Affairs prepared a short video that will present different scenarios and how we will end the problems that students currently face right now. So here we have our first scenario.
Ella is a college student with face-to-face classes end at 9 in the evening. She lives far from the university with no one to fetch her and just no friends going the same way as hers. Because of that, she has no choice but to commute every night after her class ends. Ella is constantly nervous whenever she commutes at night because she is always alone in the tricycle, and she has been in situations when the driver would either go a different way or act differently.
Okay, so thank you so much to our student, Ms. Precious Niña Apuya, for that case scenario. Since this is related to public safety of women, we would like to ask Mr. Rene Gumba to give us his response as to how will Ms. Precious deal with this kind of scenario.
Yes, from our end, we have initiated the issuance of IDs to registered trimobile drivers in the city. So in other words, pag sumakay ka ng tricycle, baka pwedeng i-check mo kung yung driver na yon ay lehitimo at dapat lang na namamasada dito sa ating lugar. Otherwise, huwag kang sasakay kung walang ganoon. Pangalawa, yung updating ng ating registration ng mga trimobile, napakahalaga. Kasi yung mga walang prangkesa at hindi rehistrado ay kadalasan siyang nagagamit sa masamang gawain. So we have to ensure the continuing registration of these units. So from the passenger side, dalawang bagay yung pwedeng tingnan. Yung ID noong driver at saka yung rehistro noong sinasakyan niyang trimobile. Pangalawang aspekto ay yung sa bahagi ng lungsod ay yung ating surveillance mechanisms. We are currently in the process of widening our CCTV coverage so that we can have more eyes in the city. Ibig sabihin, kahit gabi, may nakatingin sa'yo at alam kung ano yung nangyayari. So the increased level of surveillance will increase our tactical awareness of what is happening in our city. That is basically leveraging technology given our manpower limitation. So ito yung ilan sa mga konsiderasyon na pwedeng tingnan kung ikaw yung pasahero. At again, yung mga hotlines natin ay napakahalaga na kabisado ng bawat isang nandito sa Luzon. Baka si Sir Toby may maidagdag din dyan.
Excuse me. Hello.
Hello po, sir. You are audible.
Apo. I would just like to add something on Sir Rene's comment or answers. For your safety and protection, especially you're going home alone, as much as possible, you go with somebody whom you trusted. Kung talagang mayong option, kung talagang wala tayong option, wala tayong pagkakataon, talagang you have to go alone and you have to ride, you have to board on a tricycle. This is my own personal suggestion and tip for everybody, especially for ladies who are boarding tricycle alone in the night. You go with your cell phones as if you're calling somebody. Yes, as if you're talking to somebody. Harani na po ako, ma. Nakalunad po ako sa tricycle number 123. Yan. Color yellow, etc. You give some details about the vehicle you're riding in. In that way, na itong nadadangog or nadadangog kang driver, ma-caution siya at least na dahil siya magibon maraot sa imo. That is one tip. Ano po? Pero kung igwaman sa na pong pagkakataon na you go with somebody, you go home with somebody, with friend, with classmate, with family member, that's much better, I think. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sir Bangon, for answering what should we do in that kind of scenario. Next, we have our second case.